Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Campbell Talk. And tonight we have with us Dr. Nakisha Kinlaw-Williams. And she's going to be joining us next. And we're going to be talking about youth and HIV. As you know, all this month we've been talking about youth and HIV or young adults and HIV because we want to make sure that we keep them as part of the conversation. Some of the highest rates of HIV are among youth and young folks. And so we want to make sure that we keep that conversation at the forefront because the youth and the young people are our future. So we have to make sure that they're well taken care of. And we know there's a lot of stuff going on, but we need to make sure that we're addressing all aspects of health and education and everything else that have to go on in our lives. And so tonight, Dr. Kinlaw-Williams will be joining us to talk about youth and HIV. We'll get to know more about her. We'll get to know more about her company, and we'll be able to talk some more right after this intro. Welcome. Hi, Dr. Kinlaw.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing good. We got a little bit of sunshine peeking through. We had a lot of rain here in Florida. Palm Beach County was getting it.
I know it's still kind of dark outside a little bit of here, but like you said, the sun looked like it's trying to come back
It's
out.
trying to come through.
Thank you for being on the show tonight. As always,
Sure.
just a reminder for our guests, we are talking about youth, young adults, and HIV. So if you have questions, comments, please go ahead. Please comment. Also, please like and share. Follow our page for more information and for more conversations and for more resources. Invite other folks to join as well in watching this video. So please like and share. Um, okay, Dr. Kinlaw, can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, great. Yeah, I would love to. First and foremost, I am just happy to be here. I am certified as a adult geriatric nurse practitioner. So that basically means that I work with adults ages actually below 18, usually between 13 and up. That's what my certification covers, and I'm doctorally prepared. So you will occasionally hear me be referred to throughout this broadcast as Dr. Kinlaw-Williams because of the doctoral preparation, but I am an advanced practice nurse practitioner. So in my day-to-day, I see patients, I teach. I get the pleasure of teaching at a local university here in Palm Beach County, where I am teaching and preparing future nurse practitioners that want to be doctorally prepared to work in various fields, including HIV, infectious disease medicine. And I'm just super glad to be here and to be able to have this very important discussion. In terms of my day-to-day and outside of professional, I just love being with my family, y'all. I love community. I love travel. I love food. I'm a foodie at heart. I recently made the transition about 6 months ago to be more on the foodie on the health side with going plant-based, and that has been a transition in itself. But I'm loving that. So exploring what that looks like with my various meals, not having animal protein and getting creative with that and doing more cooking, because cooking is not on the top of my list. I usually like other people cooking for me, but now that I have this new diet, I've had to start getting in the kitchen and whipping stuff up myself because everybody like, well, you ain't got no meat, so you got to figure that out. So that has been a journey, and yeah, I think that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. That's pretty great. So we I love that. I love that. This whole I love cooking too. So just
Okay.
I'm going home tonight and I'm making some ribs
Really?
and some
That's what we're
lamb.
doing. And I just talked about the plant based and you just bringing in the ribs. Okay. Okay.
Well, the animals I eat, they eat plants. So,
Wow. That's what we're doing tonight.
but
Okay.
you know what? I'm gonna get it together because I really need to I want to be able to kind of just transition a little bit into that. I don't know if I can do it the whole way, having been raised by some of the Adventist folks, and they're the OG vegan crew.
Uh-huh. I learned a lot from them.
So
Yes.
I don't know if I can.
I
But
feel you.
I'm gonna try. I have to say though, they have the reputation of being one of the healthiest groups in the nation, in the world.
Yeah, they do.
So um, I have to say kudos to that, because
For sure.
every time I go see my doctor, I'm like, check, check, check,
Yeah.
check, check. All right, I'm good, thanks. So, so
Good thing.
something paid off. So I have to really not stray too far from that, because I really want to make, not only just for myself but for my family, for my kids. So yeah.
For
uh,
sure, for sure. Same
uh,
thing. I had that same position with. I have two little. Well, not they're not little no more. They're teenagers. So pray for me. But they are definitely not on the veggie train. They still want everything but veggies, and I'm like, that's okay. Y'all can leave me by myself and just root from the sidelines. Go, mommy. But it's been a transition.
I understand. All right. So we've been like doing this whole talk about youth, young adults, and HIV. And I know I have a teenager, or a young adult at this point. You
Mm-hmm,
have, well, two.
mm-hmm.
So I think it's fitting for us to kind of like have this dialogue, right?
Sure.
So, what are ways in which you are addressing HIV with your young people?
Sure. Yeah. One of the main things that I try to strive and put a focus on is just being safe. Like having that conversation to say, okay, so what is being safe? First of all, you have to have a conversation with yourself to say, am I ready to make any type of moves towards the next level of intimacy, wherever that may be in my life, with whomever, right? And do I feel comfortable sharing these feelings that I'm having with somebody that I trust that can help me navigate what I'm feeling? Right. And so the conversation really has been first have the conversation, acknowledge where you are, and then talk to somebody that you trust that will give you the right information, because friends don't always have the right information to give you. They pick and pull from different sources or whatever, and they try to make it sound like they know what they're talking about just because they saw it a few different places and heard it from a couple of different people. But everything on social media is not always the golden truth. Right.
Mm,
So you have to look at it with a grain of salt. So you want to have those key people in your life that will tell you like a TI is, and they'll be 100% real with you. So those safety conversations has kind of looked like again, making sure that you're ready. You have somebody that you will give you the right information, and then that you're willing to follow through on the good advice that you receive from those trusted sources. So that means that you're not just going to go rogue and decide that I'm gonna do whatever I want to do because that's old school and they don't know what they're talking about, right? So I'm gonna figure it out for myself because it's a new generation. There's a lot of wisdom in the way that things have been done in certain areas, and we can glean from that. So safety for me with our young people has just been starting a conversation, keeping the conversation going, and giving the right information so that they can follow through on those informations, whatever that may look like.
absolutely. And I think for me, it's really about creating safe space.
Oh
and
yeah.
so this way you and your child can kind of like have this space where it's not governed by the do your chores rule, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
governed by the "you're going to get in trouble" rule, but really creating a safe space where you can say, "Let's talk about it," right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times you won't know what's happening if you're not creating a trusting environment where your young adult or your youth or your teen can come and say, "Hey, this is what's happening. This is what I was thinking. This is
Mm-hmm.
how I'm feeling." And at that age, they're going through so much
Oh yeah.
emotional, physical changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes they don't even know what to do with that energy that they have.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will tell you, I was one of those parents that kind of like did the oversharing too early. I don't know if it was because I was in the medical field or I am in the medical field and I'm just like, you need to know this and blah, 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 blah. Whether they were mature enough to understand what I was sharing with them, it didn't factor in at different times. And now I'm kind of like playing, try to fix it a little bit because now that they're teenagers, and I just come out and I start talking about sex and talking about erections and getting wet and all of this stuff. I know that may be uncomfortable for some of y'all, but this is how I talk to my kids, okay? But understanding all of these different feelings that they may be having and these thoughts and dreams that they may have and all these things. I talk about all these things and I try to be as transparent as I can. They, instead of being like, oh my gosh, my mom's super cool, I can talk to her about anything, they're like, oh my gosh, you're so weird. I don't think I'm ready to talk to you about these. I'm like, man, that's created the opposite of what I was going for here. You know what I mean? So now my support is like, please just talk to somebody in the village whenever you're starting to have this. And I just information dump. Right. So if you start having feelings and you're thinking about you want to have sex or whatever the case may be, I want you to make sure that you're being responsible. What does responsible look like? If you're going to go to that next level with your partner, that means that you probably need to consider where you are in life. Am I ready to go raw and not use protection and come with the consequences that come with that decision? What are those consequences that come with that decision if you go raw, don't use protection or use condoms the right way all the time, every time, right? If you choose not to do that, that means that you have to consider more than just pregnancy. You have to consider the STDs that come with that as well, including HIV, right? So I want them to understand that there's a level of responsibility that comes with going to a next level of intimacy in any relationship that you're in. So that's kind of been my drawback to trying to come back to a place of building that safety environment that you were just talking about. Let me just give you some key points. Maybe it'll hit, maybe it'll come back later, but I just need you to know facts.
Well, you know what? I think even though it may not hit like you had intended to, I think that they will see you as the source. And so at somewhere along the line, they're going to get some sort of information and they're going to say, oh, wait, that doesn't sound right.
See?
And so they would have had it, or they'll be able to come back and say, "Hey, ma, so they were talking about blah 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 blah. Is this correct? Is this right? Is this?" And also with their knowledge of sourcing information, whether it's from them researching it or from a trusted
Mm-hmm.
person in the village, we'll be able to kind of like provide accurate information to help them to achieve the goal, which is let's not get HIV, let's end HIV.
Yeah.
And I think it's rewarding. Just being able to say, look, I got you from here to here, and
Right.
and you did not become part of the statistics.
Thank you, Lord. Yeah. That's reason to celebrate, right? That's it's reason to celebrate. Woo! You made
It's
one milestone.
I would my baby brother.
Mm.
Um, I remember when he became sexually active, and my mom was like, "Go talk to your brother. Go talk to your brother." And he came and he was like, "Mommy said I need to come talk to you." And I said, "All right, go in that room, and there's a bunch of different condoms inside. I want you to pick out all the ones that you want and bring them over here, and then we can talk about them, and we can talk about because different condoms have different like ridges on them and different designs, and some of them are for like oral sex and some of them are for actual sex, and so just
Wow.
wanted to make sure. And so, it was just, it was, so that allowed us to have like a whole conversation around that and talk about why he should get tested and how often he should get tested, and
Wow.
so this way he can have this information. And I remember when he, because that 13 to 24
Hmm.
range where the highest rates of HIV are for young people. And
Yeah.
I was just like, every year when he hit 25, I was like,
Woo!
yes,
We made
we
it.
see that. And I said, now the over 25. I
The next hurdle, right?
was like, listen, can you please, 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 please just use it. If I have to like overnight them, express mail, like whatever, just make
Yeah.
sure that you always have. And if you don't have, just always request. So whenever I'm like, look, I'm sending you enough for like a month.
Yeah, for sure.
you know,
Supporting them with what they need so that they can actually have it at their disposal. Yeah.
yeah. And then also, it turns out that he actually was, would share it with his friends and his,
Nice.
and so I was like, oh, look, we're saving the village.
Yes, that's
So,
important.
and you look back and say, okay, fine, here's a whole generation of young men and young women who are not living with HIV because of one thing that you did. You had one
Mm,
conversation with somebody.
yeah. Yeah.
So, absolutely. Ooh,
I know.
wow.
Heavy topics. Those some heavy hitters. It can be very uncomfortable for parents to have this conversation. I mean, even as a clinician, like I told you, my journey with that, being a parent, it's like you look at it from a totally different perspective. Like, this is my baby. Am I ready? I don't want you to do it anyway. I just don't want you to do it. You take that perspective, but you have to be wise in your counsel to realize that they have their own will and you want to give them the tools, equip them with the knowledge, equip them with the resources so that they can make an informed decision when those times come.
Right. And
Yeah.
it, and by no means, and this is probably going to lead into our next question. By
Hmm.
no means, educating your child about safer sex, about HIV and STDs, about using condoms, and about abstinence and waiting and all of this stuff. It shouldn't it shouldn't feel like it's a burden, right? And you
Right.
shouldn't shy away from it. You should it really presents itself as an opportunity for you to realize the transition in maybe
Hmm.
the relationship that you're having. Because as parents we do all of the roles, right? We protect, we guide,
Yeah.
and at some point we're accustomed to like telling our kids this is what you need to do, but
Hmm.
at some point we have to transition from telling to guiding.
Writing. Yeah.
you know and then once they get out the house, once they
Hmm.
become like the over 18 crew, then we move into like the board members, right?
I know, right? They come and check in and say, "Hey, I got this case."
There you go. Or we're the people who they come to like every 3 to 6 months and say, hey, so and so is happening. What do you think I should do? And then
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
become advisors. So we have to kind of like acknowledge some of those roles within the relationship. And so how you present information does matter. So for individuals or for families who may have, you know, a preteen, a teenager, or young adult, what are some tips would you say to them or provide
So
to them?
I would say for those of you who are at that 13 to 24 age group, or actually before then, where because I'm at the, before 18, they're minors.
Yeah.
But I would say some tips would be to like Richardo just said, making sure you are guiding them where they are, like where you want them to be. Recognize where they are, but recognize the role that you're in for that season and into going into the next season of their lives. So don't shy away from the conversation of sex. just because it may be uncomfortable. Your default may probably be, and I'm just speaking for myself, default is, I don't want you having sex. One, because I don't feel you're mature enough to understand or to be able to handle the consequences that may come with having sex. And then I'm going to have to pick that weight up in addition to support you through the consequences that come
Right.
with that. Like, that's just me being 100% real. But I also have to recognize that shying away from the conversation or just being dogmatic or parental in the sense of, you're not going to have it because I said so, and that's point blank, period. Try it if you want to, see what happens. That doesn't work. It just kind of stirs up the curiosity of, why don't you want me to do it? You know, maybe I should try it. Right. So I have to come with a different approach. So I would encourage the parents to not shy away from the conversation. And then another step would be, if you don't feel comfortable, finding a resource that does feel comfortable, like Campbell's Health Solutions, you know,
Yeah.
they do sex talks and everything. You get what I'm saying? That you see the information on the screen. You can get a resource that can give accurate information in a setting that is safe, like your home. You know, we got virtual now, right? So I even knocked on Ricardo's door and I'm like, hey, I may need you to have this conversation with my teens, because there's certain things that you are more familiar with in the language of this youth, this generation, that they're used to hearing, that it may hit different. And they be like, right? But if it comes from mom, it may be the same information, but it hits different because it's coming from mom, right? So I would say, use your resources. Don't be afraid of the conversation, and remain available and open so that your child feels comfortable coming to you, talking to you about anything, really. So that would be my recommendation from a mother's standpoint.
How do we then address the barriers that well, you did talk a little bit about the barriers, but how do we then address some of the barriers between with the teens? So like a parent is like trying to have this conversation and they're getting a little bit of resistance. How do we address that?
So what I've learned is that the resistance may be for that moment, right? So if you try to come at them too much, too strong, right? It's almost like, I give this illustration. It's almost like, if you like somebody, right, and you feeling them or whatever. It's a weird illustration, but it's the only thing that came to my mind, right? And if you come off too strong, it's gonna freak them out. Like, I mean, I think you cute and all, but you coming on too strong, right? So it makes me feel uncomfortable, like you're trying to invade my space before I invite you into the space that I want you to be a part of, if that makes sense. So if you look at it from that perspective, like what I've learned with my children is that if I drop information and I drop it and come off of it, and I let it simmer a little bit, kind of marinate like a meat, right? And I'm not on meat no more, but I'm just giving the illustration so y'all don't come for
Nice,
me.
like a nice vegetable stew.
Just let it, just let it simmer, let it stew. We're trying to come on. This is a professional environment. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes, yes,
listen. So just let it stew a little bit, right? Then you come back to it at another time. Hey, did you ever think about anything that I shared? Did you have any thoughts? Did you feel anything about what I shared with you before? They may be like, no. Okay, no problem. Let some time stew and drop some other nuggets as if like it's nonchalant. Like what I do when I'm driving them to school and stuff, I'll drop some information like, y'all, guess what? I found out about blah, 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 blah. Did y'all ever think about that? Did your friends ever talk about such and such and such and such? Y'all should check it out. It's good information. Stuff like that. Don't like hammer it like you need to know this. Go study it. Go read it. You need to digest this because you're going to need it for your life. You get what I'm saying? So you kind of allow for it to organically be something that they bring back up, because you're not hammering or trying to force something to happen in a space that they're not ready to talk about yet, if that makes sense. Does that
No,
make
no,
sense?
absolutely.
Okay.
Because I mean, and a lot of times too, a lot of those resistance is it's just that the growing pains of being a teenager. You know, at a certain point, they're like, "Oh, my parents are always saying this, and they're always saying
Right.
that," and they're
Too
trying
much
to block you
information.
out. And then also it's like they become uncomfortable, and so sometimes people can read the room. So if you're super uncomfortable, then people automatically becomes uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
So parents try to stay relaxed, try to stay calm,
Mm-hmm.
uh, try to like just own the information
Mm-hmm.
and just say it, and also just brace yourself, right? The other point,
Yeah.
bracing yourself because you may hear some things that your teens may or may not be doing, or their friends may or may not be doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to make sure that you're not like, they did what?
Right.
So, because, as parents, we have that tendency to kind of like just jump out and, get into that mode of like either, I wouldn't, it's like fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
It is. You're right.
what? Who did what? What? No, wait a minute. What's happening? And so, even though sometimes when you hearing that information, you have to prepare yourself as a parent sometimes and say, okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here to have this conversation, and I know my child might say some things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm going to keep it together.
Yes.
Building that trust and that communication is way more important than me jumping out and then they shutting down.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because
so,
believe it or not, they care
mhm,
about how you feel. So if they're reading you and they sense that, oh my gosh, what I'm about to say probably is going to freak my mom or freak my dad out, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to make them feel disappointed. I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want them to freak out on me. I don't want them to attack me. All of those things are things that my children have said to me, that they've held back on saying certain things just because they anticipated or perceived what they thought my response would be, right? So we have to brace ourselves to be able to respond in a responsible way. Yes, know that you're still a parent. You don't have to be like, oh, whatever, like you a friend. You're still a parent, but you don't have to be over emotional about it, because the truth is, when you're over emotional about a situation, you're not thinking rationally. You're thinking in a way that doesn't allow for you to use logic.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I know like a couple of years ago, um, my son, well, now he's 15, but he was probably about, I want to say maybe about like 12, maybe.
Mm,
And, he started noticing these girls in his class, and he's like, oh, I want to have a girlfriend. And I remember just saying, no, 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 no. You don't have time to have a girlfriend.
yep, I
Your,
remember saying the same thing.
your girlfriend is your book.
Yes.
Period. I don't want to hear nothing else about it, right?
Yep, yep.
And what has followed was 13, 14 and a half, like almost 2 years of saying nothing about a girlfriend to me. But he has spoken to his dad too about,
Mm, wow.
and he's shared in more details about like, oh, I like her. This is who she is. Her name is blah 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 blah. All of those things. When it comes to me, it's like, um, well, I wanted to tell you something, but you're
Wow.
always saying that I can't have a girlfriend because my books is my girlfriend, and then that's the end of the conversation. So I
Wow.
had to recognize that, okay, fine, whatever. So I just a month ago, maybe, or maybe like less than a month ago, we were driving someplace, and I was like, "So tell me, what's going on in your life?" I'm
Mhm.
just, and I was like, "How's school? How's work? The classwork. How's the material? Are you ready for high school?" And we're just like going through, and I was like, "So what else?" And then he started saying, well, there's this other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I was like, you know what? Shoot, go for it. And he hesitated like three times before he actually say it. And when
Wow.
he said it, he just like sat back. We're driving right to
Yeah,
Miami.
yeah, yeah.
He just like sat back in the car like this.
Oh my God. Like, what is getting ready
Because
to happen?
he was waiting for that response, right? Like,
Sure.
I have a girlfriend. And I said, okay. I said, but I want you to understand that your focus, your priority, and your focus needs to be on you. Like it's okay to like talk to someone and
Yeah.
have your little girlfriend or whatever, but I need you to be selfish right now.
Mm.
I need you to put your education, I need you to put all of those things first. Your
Yeah.
development, your career, your goals, whatever. I need you to be so selfish about that that becomes your priority. And
Wow.
then once you've been able to do the things that you have on your goals list to do,
Mm.
then if you do something for somebody you love and care about, you don't have to worry about it because you've had the opportunity to do the things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
That's
opened up a
real.
new bridge. It opened up a new bridge, and I had to fight everything in me to be like, I'm not having this girlfriend conversation with you. I already sad. Your
Wow.
education, your goals, and your aspirations are number one. Like I
Hmm.
don't anything that's going to be a distraction is not for you. Like and I had to kind of like pull back a little bit and say, okay, fine, okay. And I
Hmm.
was there the whole time, like holding it together.
Oh no, I listen, you are in good company, honey, because I said the same thing. And what I had to learn through trial and error, because that's how we learn as parents. I told my not students, I'm thinking about my students. I told my kids, I said, listen, mommy is going through this same life journey of raising you just like you are. I haven't been the mom of a 14-year-old all my life, or a 15-year-old, or a 16-year-old. We're hitting these stages together,
Together.
right?
Hmm.
So there's going to be things that I may not know in the moment, but you have to trust that I will get the information that's needed to make sure that you are equipped with what's needed for where you are now and where you want to go. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that your kids know the values that you have placed and taught them,
Yeah,
right? So it doesn't just go away. Everything that you've taught them from birth all the way to now, these young adults that's emerging into adulthood, right? They still know your standards that you've taught them. That's been their foundation. So you have to trust that they're going to fall on those, they're going to lean in on those foundational things, those core values, those standards that you've taught them their whole life. Now these new things are starting to filter in, right? So now when they come to you with something, it's like, I'm not saying I've disregarded all of the foundational things that you've taught me. I just need to know how those foundational things, incorporate with these new things that are starting to drop into my life now. How do I
absolutely.
navigate that with these foundational things? So as parents, we get the opportunity to say, hey, remember this core value that I taught you? Now let's see how we can navigate that with this new relationship, or this feeling of, I think I want to start having sex, or I want to have a relationship, or what's the consequences of having unprotected sex, or what does unprotected sex even mean? I mean, I heard people talk about, you can't assume that just because they say certain things that they understand fully what they're saying. So having
Absolutely.
that conversation to say, do you know what that means? Be
Yeah.
curious. Be curious.
As
Yeah.
much questions as they're asking you, as much questions you need to be asking.
Yes.
You to be like them in a sense, right? That
Yes.
that
Yes.
that tenacity, the curiosity of saying, but why?
Yeah.
But why? But
Yes.
why?
But why?
But why? and you and a lot of it you just have to say, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And they'll just keep going. They'll just keep going. Like my son will be talking and I'm like, okay. And then he'll keep going and I was like,
Hmm.
all right.
Yes. We said the same thing. Hmm. That's so
And
good.
he'll go through and he'll try to clean some of it up and whatever. And the good thing about creating the safe space is I say, you know what? We're gonna put your little, girlfriend in the safe space so we
Mm.
can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then, you know, luckily for me, I was like, I was like, so where's your girlfriend? Where does she live? And he's like,
Nice.
oh, I talked to her online. She lives in Iowa. I said, okay,
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Long distance relationship. Boy,
yeah,
COVID has brought its own set of new ways of doing things, hasn't it?
yeah. It sounded to me like she was living here. They moved away, or they went to school, middle school together or something, and then she moved away, or something of the sort like that. So I just let him tell it. I just listened, and I said, I really appreciate you for sharing this information with me.
That's
Thank
good.
you for trusting me with that.
That's good.
I do want you to understand, however, that the things that you want to do should always be your priority because you're not
Mm,
going to be able to help other people until you're able to help yourself.
yeah.
And I said,
That's,
as long as you prioritize your things that you need to do, so whichever college you want to go to, decide on that college and go. Whatever
mm-hmm.
path you want to try, go. Do
Yeah.
it. So this way you have no regrets, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The whole point of well, not the whole point, but part of you living is so you can empty yourself, right? So this way, when you get to the end of your road, you're not having a bunch of regrets and saying, I didn't get to try. I wanted to go to California to do XYZ, and I didn't do it because my girlfriend didn't want to go to California.
Wow. Perspective. Yeah.
Didn't go to this college because my girlfriend was going to that college, and I went to this college so I can be closer to her or be with her, but it didn't have the program that I really wanted. So now I'm taking on a different program that doesn't really, you know, stir up anything inside of me or this desire to let up or make me excited because
Yeah.
I'm just doing it so I can be close to her. So I said, you have to learn how to be independent before
Yes.
you be dependent.
One of the things that I wanted to mention, some of my patients, me being a women's health provider, I've seen a lot of my patients come through and just have conversation because I create that safe space with them. And when I introduce the topic to say, hey, as a part of this treatment today in the evaluation process, we're going to do a HIV screening. I don't ask, is it okay? I said, as a part of it, because I want them to know that this is a regular part of what your health maintenance needs to be, right? If you are sexually active and you've had unprotected sex at any point in your life, HIV screenings, HIV testing needs to be a part of your regular health maintenance every year. So I brought this up to one young lady in particular, and I'll never forget what she said. She said, well, I've been with my boyfriend for we were like high school sweethearts. It's been over 10 years. I haven't been with anybody else. So I don't really think I need that. I said, oh, okay. I said, so and I think you and I, Ricardo, have had some offline conversations about something similar. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, so you don't think you need it, right? Do you know your status right now? She was like, no. I said, have you ever been tested for HIV? No, because I've only been with one person. I said, okay, but you've been with that one person. Have they been with just you? Either way, you need to know your status, and it's important as a responsible adult that is engaging in sex with another adult. Both of you need to be communicating on what your status is, because
Mhm.
that's a part of being a responsible adult that's engaging in sexual activity. That's a part of that role of being a responsible adult. You can't just assume that everything is peaches and cream and that HIV is not something to take into account, right?
Right.
So when I said it in that perspective, she had a light bulb went off. By no means was I trying to introduce infidelity, but she needed to understand that the responsibility of her health rested on her shoulders. She
Right.
needs to be the one that's responsible for knowing her status at all times. Your general health is your responsibility in partnership with your clinician or whoever else you bring into your wellness team. You collaborate with your experts to make sure that you're healthy, just like you do with a car, right? You take it in collaboration. You drive it every day. Your mechanic tells you got to put gasoline in it in order for it to keep going. When it gets to certain mileage, you got to bring it in for certain maintenance checks, right? The same is so with your health. You have to go in and get maintenance checks just to make sure everything is okay. And HIV testing once a year is one of those things.
Right. And once a year, if you're having like a monogamous, steady partner, but if you're having multiple partners throughout the year, every time, as a rule of thumb,
Yes, please share with us.
once a year, as a rule of thumb, I should say, um, every time you switch partners,
Hmm,
you should get an HIV test.
that's real. I hope y'all heard that loud and clear.
Every
Every
time.
time.
So if you had 10 partners in 2023, you should have at least 10 HIV tests.
Hello.
Now,
Hello.
if you are in a committed relationship or whatever the arrangement is for your relationship, then you would apply your testing accordingly. So if you're married or if you're in a committed relationship and you're a swinger, you know, then you need to make sure that you get tested. If you like having orgies or threesomes or whatever, then you need to make
Hmm.
sure you're tested. So that's something that we want to tell folks. And a lot of times too, even young adults who are not sexually active, it's good to bring them in so they can get an HIV test. So
Hmm.
they go through the process, see what it's like. They're able to ask questions. They're able to talk to a certified individual who is knowledgeable about HIV and STD. And
Hmm.
so this way they can kind of like see what the process is, have
Yeah.
the experience. It takes the stigma and the fear away. So
Hmm. Hmm.
when they need to access it, they know how to do it and where to go.
I think it's also important because as providers, I'm a primary care provider that does women's health as well. And sometimes patients don't feel comfortable talking about STDs or HIV with their primary. They'll go to a clinic that doesn't know them, right? Just because they have like that parental almost relationship with the provider that's been seeing them on the regular basis. So they feel like they have to have like all the gold stars whenever they meet with their primary. And I just want to dispel that from anybody who is in the hearing of this broadcast. Your primary care provider is your quarterback for your care. They need to be aware of every single thing that's going on with you because they help you navigate the HIV testing and what happens after the HIV testing and what other supports you may need for your entire being, your mind, body, soul, spirit. So it's important that you have that conversation to say, hey, I'm sexually active. This broadcast has educated me to tell me because I'm sexually active, HIV testing needs to be on my radar as a part of my health maintenance. And I need to have that conversation with my primary care provider. And if I don't feel comfortable talking to my primary care provider, Campbell Health Solutions, hello, is there to have this conversation with me, hello, so that I can actually get the courage and the knowledge and the information to destigmatize all of these other thoughts that may be in my mind that's been feeding the fear factor within me so I can make moves that will help and benefit and optimize my health. Right.
Absolutely. And we're going to pause right here really quickly because now we bring in our education moment. So, a
Okay.
lot of you have been watching and you hear us talking about like HIV and STD and STIs and getting tested and all of that. So, I just want to put it in perspective for you. So, HIV stands for human immunodeficiency virus. AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So sometimes you might hear people say, oh, I'm getting an AIDS test. There's no such thing as an AIDS test. You can get an HIV test. If left untreated, if you don't take care of yourself, if you're not taking medication, and you already have an HIV diagnosis, um, without taking treatment, without getting medical care, without eating right and doing all of that things to keep your body healthy and strong, you can progress towards AIDS. And sometimes that could be faster or slower depending on your where you live or kind of like um, what communities you're from or what access you have to certain healthcare. Um, the only way to know if you have HIV or if you've been exposed to HIV is to get an HIV test. That's the only way that you have to know. Rapid tests is available all across the state of Florida and just around many places across the United States where you can get an HIV test, an INSTI test, for example, in less than 60 seconds. You'll know your results. Or most rapid HIV test is about 15 to 20 minutes. So those HIV tests is available. You can know your status in under 20 minutes. It's amazing. The other thing too is that if used correctly, and Dr. Kinlaw-William said it, if used correctly all the time, condoms can protect you from getting HIV, but also it can protect you from getting STDs as well. It doesn't necessarily protect you from all of them, but it can protect you from them majority of the time. This is why you can't, because you can't always look at somebody and tell that they have HIV. You can't always look at somebody and tell that they have an STDs. So it's most important for you to always wear a condom, to always make sure that if you are switching partners on a regular basis, that you go and get tested on a more regular basis. If you have a committed partner, then you should get tested at least once a year. Um, if someone is if someone acquires HIV, treatment is available for people living with HIV, and that can help them to live a long, healthy, full life. If you are HIV negative, there are biomedical interventions or medications that you can take that can prevent you from getting HIV, such as PrEP or PEP. PEP is post exposure prophylaxis. So if you were exposed to HIV, you can take it usually within 72 hours of the exposure, and then you take it for up to 28 days to prevent you from getting HIV, along with a series of HIV tests. In addition to that, we also have PrEP, pre exposure prophylaxis. So, this is a pill you take every day to prevent you from getting HIV. But not only do you just take PrEP, you also use condoms along with PrEP just to make sure that in case the condom breaks, that you also have your biomedical prevention. You can reach us. Our phone number is on the screen at 561-208-6595. You can reach us here if you would like to schedule your free HIV test. We would love to hear from you. You can also go to our website at campbellhealth.org. Check us out, calling it. And remember, if you are having sex with someone or someone is having sex with you need to get an HIV test, especially if you're not using condoms, if you haven't been tested, if you've had multiple partners and not yet been tested, and see if PrEP is an option for you. And in addition to that, you should also have regular checkups on a regular basis and talk with uh, a physician or a provider who can walk you through how you can kind of stay healthy and stay stronger and live a healthier life. And that's why we have Dr. Kinlaw-Williams on here today. And her organization is called Give Me Health International.
Yes.
And so now we're going to spend some time talking about Give Me Health. So, can you tell us about Give Me Health?
Absolutely. So, Give Me Health International, our main goal is making sure that we optimize your health in a way that is affordable, that is practical, and that is high quality. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable with us as much as we feel comfortable delivering high quality care. We want to make sure it makes sense and it fits in with the lifestyle that you've come to know as your own. Right? We're not here to say, oh, we got to take that away and take this away and take this away and take that away. And then you feel like, well, dog, what's left for me? you're taking everything away. Instead, our approach to primary care is that we come alongside and we kind of identify what your health goals are. And as we identify what your personal health goals are, we look at your health screenings and we identify where there may be some opportunities to improve your health, whether that be by way of conversation through our consultation. We do blood work, we do a physical examination. We use a few different tools to kind of identify where your wellness is as a whole overall, mind, body, soul, spirit. And then we come up with an impressive plan. I have to say impressive because it's not just coming from us and our skill set and being providers. It's coming from you as well. So we sit down at the drawing board, almost like you do every year with vision boards and casting vision for the year of what you want to do. We sit down and we talk about, okay, what's realistic for my finances? What's realistic for my family? What's realistic for me? What's realistic for my other responsibilities that I got going on? How can I prioritize my health with all of these other things? And we come up with small goals and we support you through each of those goals. And we identify how well you're doing. We root for you. We cheer for you. We have health coaches, lifestyle coaches, me as your provider, other modalities of therapies to keep you committed to this health journey and wellness, including culinary medicine, which looks at food for life, food as life, healthy food choices and what that looks like and how you can integrate that into your culture of how you're used to eating, but making it more focused on like hyper nutrition so that you can actually give your body the life food that keeps you living well. Right. So that is what we have to offer along with so many other services. So I invite you to check out our website to know in detail what services we're offering. But I just wanted you to know from my heart to yours, to your hearing, what we want to offer you and partner with you to help you optimize your health, wherever you may be in age and whatever aspect you may be in terms of your life journey. We want to be able to come alongside and support you to get to where you want.
And the information is right here on the screen. Give Me Health International at www.givemehealthinternational.org, or you
Yes.
can reach them at 561-444-8582.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that.
Not a problem. And if you have questions or comments, please, please, please feel free to drop them in the comment section, or you can inbox us on Facebook and you'll get a more direct response. If you are looking for a healthcare provider, if you are looking for a healthcare home,
Yes, we are home. Please come knock on our door. We will welcome you with open arms. I am big on community and supporting our community with excellent quality healthcare. Small, intimate settings work best for most people, almost like a village. I love the aspect of having a village. So being somewhere where you're not just another number, but where everybody knows your name in a good way.
yep,
That's what we have to offer at Give Me Health International.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm ready to get my summer body together.
Oh, let's do
Look,
it, honey. Let's do it.
I'm a little bit late. I should have started a long time ago,
You know,
but
them ribs, you was talking about getting into tonight. You may have to just look at adjusting the quantity and everything, but we can work. We can work it.
yeah, you know what? I the good thing is that I'm a very good portion control eater. So
Good. Good, good, good.
every now and then we go over, but
It get good to you. You eat just because it tastes good. Like, I
right.
am so full, but this is so good. Let me just take another nibble
And then
or
you feel
another gobble.
guilty afterwards. You're like, oh, I should never had that extra. Food,"
I know. I know.
But definitely, and there's some other exciting stuff coming up down the road because
Mm.
you'll be starting a
Yes, definitely. So we will thank you for putting that plug there. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is that we introduced culinary medicine, whereas food for life, food being life-giving. We are going to be doing some teaching kitchens in partnership with Campbell Health Solutions. We want to be able to invite you to the kitchen in our homes. And for me, it'll be at our wellness center. But with Campbell Health Solutions, he's kind of put out there that he would be willing to do. He told told us, y'all heard him too, that he likes to throw down and burn in the kitchen, right? Y'all heard that, right? I heard that. So
If she
that
gives me the
means
recipes, I will cook them. Okay. If she says those,
yes.
it's going to
Oh,
be
yes.
amazing.
Yes. So please share as you put your comments and your questions and things like that, things that you want to see us hopefully not mess up, but put together in the kitchen, right? So we're talking about increasing our fruits and increasing our vegetables and lowering the amount of animal protein just so that our bodies can be fueled with the life-giving fuel that gives us the optimal health that we're looking for, less inflammation, more clarity of thought, less foggy brain. Having increased fruits and vegetables helps us to do that. So we want to enrich our plates with a lot of fruits and vegetables, not void of flavor, because nobody likes bland diets around here, right? We like full of flavor, but we want to make sure it tastes good and that it is good so that we can feel good and be our best selves for ourselves and our family and our community. So that's what we're going to be doing. We want you to share your recipes so we can try them out together and just be a community that grows in optimal health together. That's what we're doing. That's how we roll.
One of my new favorite recipe now is warm tea with slices of lemon and honey
Oh,
before I go to bed.
okay, for the detox before you go to bed. But you know, the thing is with that, that's a very good piece to have because your body starts to detox during your sleep. That's why we have to sleep well, restorative sleep.
Yeah,
It detoxes and gets rid of toxins and inflammation and starts to heal itself. So giving yourself that boost before you go to bed, I like it. I
yeah.
give you the green check mark on that one.
Oh, look at I already see, I already got a green check mark.
Good, good.
All right,
Excellent.
awesome. No, I really thank you for being on the show today. I really
Yes,
appreciate you
thank
um,
you.
being here, and not only looking forward to just us working together, but just our many collaborative work that we're going to.
Yes.
Some awesome, amazing things are coming to the Palm Beach County community. Is all I can
Y'all
say.
stay ready because it's coming. It is coming. It's actually already in motion. This
Mhm.
conversation is just making sure y'all bracing yourselves for the continuation of what's to come. Okay.
Absolutely. Go ahead and check out that website, givemehealthinternational.org. Uh,
Please.
sign up for the news alerts
Yes.
and pay and make sure that you keep tabs to see what's happening. And we'll do our best to provide you with information. We'll do our best to let you know ahead of time
Yes.
what to look out for, what's coming up, what you can participate in, what activities. So please, again, like, share, follow. And what social media platforms are you on?
Good question. That is coming down the pipeline. You see, my friend Richardo here happens to have that extra support to make sure I get on these social media platforms. So more to come on that. We will be sharing that with you. So stay tuned.
All right. All right. Well, in the meantime, go to the website
Please.
and
Yes.
uh, continue to like, share, and follow. We really appreciate you. Thank you for watching tonight. You've been amazing.
Yes.
Um, please continue to share because it's about us helping us. We have to save ourselves and we have
Yep.
to save our community. So
Amen.
sound the alarm.
Let's do it.
Let's
Sound the
do it.
alarm, people. Woo! I don't know why I did that. It was so random, but I felt it. I had to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and FYI, before we get off here, because I know we were about to like jump off in a minute, but Dr. Kinlaw-Williams is also a minister, y'all.
Yes, yes, I am licensed and ordained.
All of that comes into it, okay? So, like faith and healing and healthy
Yes,
eating,
yes,
it's everything. So we're talking about mind, body, and soul.
yes,
We're not just saying it because she's living it, and
yes,
we are it. So
yes. Amen for that. Amen for that. May I just close us out in prayer? Quick prayer, if that's
sure.
okay. God, we just thank you for everybody that has been in attendance today. Thank you for their families. Lord, we ask for a continuous blessing upon them. We ask that you direct them and guide them, illuminate their path. Thank you that you are protecting them and keeping them safe. Thank you, Lord, that you're giving them clarity of thought and mind and speech, and that you're giving them new dreams and aspirations, and to help them to remain healthy and to participate as a joint effort to make choices that will keep them healthy and optimize their health for now and for generations to come. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Really appreciate you.
Definitely.